Are we okay back there, guys?
The July 5th, 2023 work session of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners will come to order. Welcome, citizens of Douglas County. County Clerk, please take the roll for the record.
Yes, sir. Commissioner District 1, Ricky Dobbs. He's not here at the moment. Commissioner District 2, Kelly Robinson.
Present, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner District 3 and Vice Chair Terenia Carthen.
Present.
Commissioner District 4, Mark Alcaraz.
Present.
Chairman Phil Miller.
I'm here. Commissioners, are there any changes that need to be made to the agenda?
No.
Being none, the agenda stands approved as presented. As a reminder, each commissioner will have 3 minutes to make remarks and 2 minutes for rebuttal. Clerk, do we have anyone sign up for public comment?
Yes, sir. We had 2 individuals. So before I call you up, I will just give you a reminder to please restate your name, address, and subject matter for the record. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. Once you have reached your 3 minutes, please bring your comment to a close. So the first citizen we had sign in was Miss Gwendolyn Parker.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Gwendolyn Parker. I reside in District 2, 4380 Split Creek Drive, Douglasville, Georgia. I come this morning to talk about the contract with Buford and Gulf. In Georgia, incarcerated individuals are not guaranteed any compensation. So the minimum wage for Georgians working behind bars is 0. In recent national prison strike organized by jailhouse lawyers that spoke began on August 21, one of the requests is for minimum wage. Now, I'm not here to talk about minimum wage for prison employees. I'm here to ask this question. The company, Buford and Gulf, that is proposed for this contract by the commission, will they use any prison labor in the installation of the completion of the new system in the contract, or in the cleanup, or anything else related to their contract? And did they do it before? And if so, was it subtracted from their cost projections then and now? Because prison labor is free, but it should be noted at the rate that would be paid for someone who was not being utilized as free labor. So that's my question. I would like to know about the previous contract and the contract going forward before any decisions are made. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Our next citizen to sign in was Ms. Sharon Bachtel.
Morning.
Sharon Bachtel, 6331 South Skyline Drive, and thank you for allowing me to speak. I would like to talk about agenda item number 7, the contract with Buford Goff and Associates, which has been tabled a couple of times. The purchasing policy that was adopted in November states that bids shall be awarded to the most responsible bidder who meets the specifications. The words lowest bid were removed. I was surprised to hear the commissioner speak about the cost when that is no longer the priority. A committee of 5 evaluated and scored these businesses, and Buford Goff and Associates came out on top. They rated them in 4 categories: qualifications, experience, and references, project approach, project staffing, and stability. I have admired Director Ammon's work on organizing and streamlining the purchasing department. I am confident that she and her team vetted this company. A couple of years ago, the tax commissioner asked for new software costing $1 million. He did not pick the cheapest software. He picked what he needed and was compatible with other programs. When the BOC decided to change law firms, they did not require monetary bids, and they picked the most expensive firm. Why don't you trust the committee that chose Buford Goff and Associates? I think Sheriff Pounds deserves to have the electronic equipment that fits his needs and wants. I would also like to talk about agenda item number 11, the authorization to charge fees for events and gatherings requiring fire and EMS coverage. I think it is a shame that our firemen and sheriff deputies have to work overtime to earn a decent wage, especially while the commissioner's aides receive $60,000 salaries to answer phones and emails and do not risk their lives to protect us. If this is a perk to retain firemen and EMS employees, then I support this. My only concern is having adequate coverage to protect the rest of us. The citizens' needs must take priority over the special events. And last, I would like to comment on the assessments. Who will be footing the bill for remailing the 15,000 assessments that had errors? Most of us saw our assessments increase quite a bit. With these high assessments, it is time to give the citizens back their 27%. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bachtel. That was all of the citizen comments, Chairman.
Okay, we have a presentation tomorrow, at tomorrow's meeting, to recognize a few heroes. Some firefighters that went into a house and saved somebody from a burning building, and one of the firefighters was injured. And I think sometimes we take for granted what our public safety people do for us. They're here to protect us, and they're here to save our lives. So I look forward to that presentation tomorrow. Next on the agenda is the meeting minutes. Commissioners, please review the minutes before tomorrow's meeting. County Administrator, do you have any business to come before the board?
No, sir.
We will now begin with our agenda items. Clerk, please begin with the first agenda item.
Yes, sir. Tomorrow we will have a public hearing, and that is for the Douglas County Comprehensive Plan update. This is the second hearing, and authorization for the chairman to sign a letter to transmit to the comprehensive plan to ARC for regional and state review. And Ms. Allison Duncan is here to talk about this.
All right. Good morning. Let me adjust this. I will be brief this morning. We do have a public hearing tomorrow for the second hearing for our comprehensive plan update. Y'all may recall that we were here in August of 2022 for our kickoff hearing. At that hearing, we basically identified the plan process that we would undertake for our comprehensive plan update. As a reminder, this is a state requirement that every 5 years we must update our comprehensive plan. The plan is now drafted, and it is available. It is available on our website. We have printed copies in our office. We did deliver printed copies to all of the Board of Commissioners, Planning and Zoning Board members as well. Tomorrow, I will have a brief presentation to give an overview of the contents and to receive any final feedback. I will also announce that staff proposes to transmit the plan to ARC for review on July 20th. So we are asking for the chairman to sign that transmission letter so it can go up for regional review, but we're given about another 10 days or so for the public to provide us any additional feedback that they may have after that second hearing. So we have advertised the plan through the e-newsletter and through the social media. We have submitted a press release. We have taken out paid ads in the Sentinel, so we've tried to get the word out that we're having this hearing tomorrow. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have for me today before we have the public hearing tomorrow.
Are there any questions of commissioners? Mr. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning. I guess I have to acknowledge the 4th of July. What was it? We were a constitutional democracy, a federal republic, or a presidential system. Which one are we? Really, we're all three, and it's something to celebrate yesterday, the freedom of America. So happy Independence Day. That being said, let me get to work. All right, so Allison, we're talking about our future going forward together. Great opportunity. You know, you're the queen of the moment, right? Because you get to shape the next 10, 20 years, this moment. Everybody need to listen to my district commissioners. Pay attention. This is when your local home rule really, really matters. Getting your people out to give input on how we're going to shape the county. Put the politics aside. You better advocate for your district. You better stand up and make sure they get out and weigh in. What I don't want to hear 10 years from now, I'm looking at the Sentinel and y'all complaining about how this county has changed, or well, you didn't speak up, you didn't say anything. And I'm serious about this moment. You ain't gonna get this back. This is not just an exercise. I know it's analytical. I know what Allison represents. Like, guys, this is the time when you weigh in. District 4, don't let them mow this thing down. District 3, you better preserve that water supply. Y'all better make sure your citizens weigh in and understand what this means to shape it. I'm not saying that it hasn't. I just got to say that for the record, that this is how you shape your future. Don't complain to the staff about why y'all let this stuff go. When citizens talk about, well, how did this happen? Well, why is all this stuff here? Well, were you connected to your representatives? Did you come out and weigh in? Y'all been here long enough to learn and be educated on how the government process works, how civic action happens. This is that moment. Thank you. So whether, all right, so the public hearing is tomorrow. Thank you for that little moment. The public hearing is tomorrow, and that's the last time that the citizens get to weigh in, yes or no?
So we will have the public hearing. They'll be able to weigh in at the public hearing, and then they can certainly provide us comments throughout the entire timeline until the plan is actually adopted by the Board of Commissioners. So we would like for those comments to be received by July 20th so that we can update the plan accordingly before we send it for regional and state review.
Yep.
But this is still a working document until such a time as we bring it to the Board of Commissioners for final adoption, and we anticipate that that will be, probably sometime in September.
All right, so we still got a moment.
Yes, sir.
All right, so there may be time during August where there's still, you'll receive comments written, or they got to be part of a public hearing process. I want to make sure I'm clear for my district. Explain that.
We'll be happy to accept comments any way the public would like to submit them. Written is certainly preferable. They can email me, but if they want to call me on the phone and ask questions, or if they want to set up a meeting with staff, we'll be more than happy to meet constituents in the place that's most available for them to bring their feedback to us.
I appreciate that. I mean, contrary to opinion, me and my aide, we went over that 500-page document. We do more than just read emails. They're analytical. And if you ain't read that book and you don't see what that thing is saying about representing your character area, then you're playing then. All right, thank you. That was some good work that you guys did. Tell your consultant, great work. I mean, it was very organized, and I appreciate it. And there's a lot for the citizens to read. I understand. I get it. That's why we're here for that. But anyway, you can do, again, your staff is great. Y'all are on standby. I don't have to belabor this because we'll wait for the public hearing. I just had to say that for the record. You're good, Allison. Thank you for now.
Thank you.
I yield, Mr. Chair.
So it's also a lot for commissioners to read, by the way. Anyone else? Sir?
Okay. Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is grants. Number 4 is authorization to accept a supplemental project framework agreement number 1 with Georgia Department of Transportation for PI number 00135563 for the Lee Road Phase 1 project in the amount of $963,187 with a local match of $240,797 to be funded from the 2016 SPLOST funds as recommended by the Transportation Committee. Amend the budget and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Director Rana.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Board of Commissioners. Before us is a great news for Lee Road Phase 1 widening project. We started this project end of last year, especially the design effort, with merely 20% of federal aid on this project. Earlier this year, we submitted an application to receive additional funds to support the design effort of this extensive project. We were awarded an additional $1.2 million with a 20% match to help the design of this project and eventually proceed it into right-of-way and then construction. Therefore, we recommend that the board approves and accepts this additional funding, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions? Vice Chair?
Thank you. Good morning, Solomon. Can you talk to us a little bit about the local match? I know it's coming from the 2016 SPOS funds. Was this always anticipated, and is there enough to cover it? And will you leave any for future projects?
Understood. Yes, ma'am. So this started off as a federal aid with the local match project. Starting off, we only had 20% of federal aid. Rest was reliant on SPLOST. Over time, we're just trying to reduce that gap. So now we're sitting at 70% federal aid, the remainder coming from SPLOST. So it's still the same combination, SPLOST and federal aid, but we're just trying to reduce the local burden as much as we can. Thank you.
Got you. So the 20% on this one, were you always anticipating the 963,000? Like, was that anticipatory before you actually was awarded this, and that was already included in the SPLOS downdraw for the funds?
Yes, ma'am. It was. We were anticipating a much bigger match, and with this, what has happened is we had a bigger bucket in place to match that 20% funding.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to use a much smaller portion of that going forward. So we always had that match put in
Okay.
place in this SPLOS list.
All right. Thank you. With that, I yield.
Any more comment? Commissioner Robinson?
All right. Good morning, Director.
Morning.
We talked, did we talk about this in our Transportation Committee meeting?
We did, sir.
All right. I just want to make a chain of how things move. To Madam Vice Chair's point, and I don't want you to do it right now, but tomorrow, this is important for SPLOS management, SPLOS oversight, which is, we got to the end of the SPLOS, and there was like 4 projects that we awarded about $200,000 each for various things. And it's how you manage your residual and what your priorities are. We've always acknowledged that phase one of Lee Road, remember it was the bridge, then was phase 1, then the bridge, then obviously the widening and extension. All right, phase 1 could never get off the ground. So they went straight to the bridge. Thank you, Congressman Scott, for helping us expand that Lee Road bridge. All right, we know the progress. Now we went down Lee Road up to Fairburn Road. We know that was phase 2, primarily. So this phase 1 goes from what? Right there, I-20. Explain where this phase 1 is, because we got some new members, and get them a chance to sort of frame this for us. What is phase 1?
Sure. So as you know, phase 2 is the part that's currently under construction. The bridge segment is a project that was conducted by GDOT. That was the key for phase 1 not starting off early because there was not enough connectivity. With that bridge being done now, we're going to pick up from that close to Vulcan Drive, take Lee Road widening all the way throughout Lee Road and South Sweetwater all the way up to US 78. So eventually, once both of these, phase 1 and 2, with the bridge already completed, we're going to have a completely widened corridor from US 78 to the bridge to Fairburn.
Thank you for that. And what's important for me, like, look, I'm very clear on, south of I-20, I guess, or north, or however you want to say it, the one going towards 78 is not necessarily in my district. So I'm not trying to speak as the chair of transportation. I need the citizens, the representative of, the commissioner of District 1 to get in there and understand what this design means. It was easy for me to do Lee Road, even its extension on over Old Toledo, Bow Martin, Chapel Hill. You got to get into this. There's going to be neighborhoods impacted. It's coming. Get in there and understand what this impact is. We're in the design phase. So for the citizens, let me just weigh in as chair of transportation. You have an opportunity, like with this comprehensive planning. This is a transportation plan. Look how this stuff ties together. Get in there and understand, okay, you know they about to cut through that thing, right? You know this design is going to impact some woods, some neighborhoods. It has commercial implications. This is education. It's including you in the decision-making process. Do you understand what you're looking at? It's coming. So my point is, thank you for this. We're spending money to the citizens. We're awarding $1 million on a design that's about to go through the neighborhoods, go all the way over across. And I'm looking for, and I've been disappointed, to be very honest. Like, okay, ain't nobody, they ain't been, it's been offline, it's been too quiet. It's like, y'all know this thing is gonna impact that area. Why are y'all shoving this under the rug? Anyway, you're good. I just had to put that on record. I'm trying to help because, you know, again, I care and I understand the impact. So when will this be done? He has to answer that question. When will this be done? Once you get done, when will your design be done?
Sir, design, we're anticipating 3 years. So by 2026, we anticipate design being completed.
It'll be 2026?
2026, that's right.
I'll be well, though. 2026, and how long with construction?
So after design, there would be right-of acquisition for 2 years and then eventually 2 years for construction.
All right, and total cost?
Total cost, roughly estimating it'd be about $30 to $40 million.
30 to 40. And how much is phase 2 going the other way?
Just the construction of that is about $21 million.
20 million. Is that all the way over to Chapel Hill?
That would be an additional $20 to $30 million, sir.
So it's 50 million just to go all the way to Chapel Hill, and it's 30 to 40 going in. That whole corridor, guys, is what, 70, 80 million? Is that about right?
Yes, sir.
80 million just for that strip alone.
Commissioner, I don't want to offend
got
you,
the
but your
yield.
time's up. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Sure.
Mr. Alvarez.
Director Ron, can you let our citizens know where they can go and find this information to what's being impacted so that they are aware of what's coming?
Yes, sir. So as we are in design, we're in early stages of the concept development. What's being done right now is survey and just the initial ground prep for our design efforts to start. Once we have the basic information to basically propose few alignments, there are going to be alternatives that public will be educated on. There would be open houses where public will have an opportunity to come sit with our design team, the government representatives, to voice their concerns and learn more about the project. That is coming down the pipeline, and when that information would become available, we'll be happy to advertise it on our website, and of course come before you and let you know when the time when this happens.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure that our citizens are aware that this is coming
It
and that they need to take the time, those that live in that area, to come out to these open houses and understand. Because if it was coming in my direction, I'd want to know as well. So I appreciate it. I yield back, Chairman.
Anyone else? Madam Clerk.
Okay. Our next item is number 5, authorization to accept the Family Connections Grant Award in the amount of $52,500 with no match for the period of July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 for Douglas Corps. Amend the budget and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Ms. Amanda Bryant.
We have
Good
any-
morning.
oh,
I'm
sorry.
Amanda Bryant. I'm the Executive Director of Douglas Corps. We are a community organizing resources for excellence. Douglas Corps has been part of Douglas County since 1994, and you guys have been our fiscal agent since 1997 when we first received a grant from the state in order to have a collaborative. What is the purpose of Corps? Corps, our only big purpose is to make sure that our organizations are working together who are providing services to children and their families. And we do that by, one, helping them to organize if they're new. If they're already set up and running, then we want them to work together. What we found is that, actually many, many years ago, we found that everyone believes in my four and no more. And so what we do is say, no, it's not your four and no more, it's us. All of us together, working together, and then we can make a change. because none of us, especially as nonprofits and even some of our agencies, don't have enough money to make the changes that you have to make at the scale that you have to make it in order to be impactful for our families here in Douglas County. So we formed a collaboration, and we're government agency, private citizens, we're educators, the health and human services providers, nonprofits, faith-based groups, you name it, you've probably been part of CORE or should have been part of CORE. And so we bring them together, and once a month we have a forum where we educate on various things. The people who are new in the county, we bring them in and say, this is what can now be offered here in Douglas County. And then sometime on things that's been there already for years and years that people may not know about, what organizations, what they're doing, how they're serving children and their families, how you can get involved so that you're not just living here and playing here, but that you're also part of what makes this place a great place to live, work, and play. And so we bring them together, and our mission is to improve the well-being of the organizations in this community. We're about the organizations. CORE doesn't provide a lot of direct services to citizens, but we provide direct services to the organizations that provide direct services to citizens, because sometimes they get lost in a shuffle and no one remembers them. So we support them by helping them do what they do well. We help with organizational management. We help when they need help with grants, writing the grants, proofreading the grants, helping them to make sure that they have a collaboration of people, and we're not competing for grants here in Douglas County. If we apply from Douglas, we want one from Douglas. We don't need 50 from Douglas. So that we're more likely to receive it, and making sure that everyone is on board to what is happening. And that's what Douglas CORE does. And the Board of Commissioners has been a wonderful fiscal agent for us. And the grant is coming from the state through the Georgia Family Connection Partnership. And we're just asking you guys to re-up as our fiscal agent and authorize the signing of all of our contracts and things that are needed for us to receive our funding. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Commissioners? Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for that explanation. I haven't been a part of CORE, so I wasn't quite sure what it was, but as the fiscal agent for so long, you know, the government, we have to give an account when we accept money. Do you give the Douglas County Board of Commissioners or our attorneys a fact sheet every year? Do you give us an audit of how the funds were spent, how they were utilized? Because that is what we have to go through every year. As a matter of fact, we're going through it now. Our county administrator had to get someone else to come in and help us with the audit. So those things are really important. So
We have one line item in our whole budget.
oh,
Yes, so it's not gonna be a long fact sheet.
okay.
We have one line item, it is salary,
It is salary. Okay.
specifically, my salary. That is what we use that grant for, is so that we have a person doing the coordination of the services required for our county. And it's been that way the whole time. We've only had one line item, we've never had two even. So
Right.
that's it, that's all, and we actually, every quarter, we're required to report to the state,
Mhm.
and we provide them with a narrative and a budgetary spreadsheet where we tell them what funds we have utilized for that one line item. And then once a year, we provide them with an annual report on our updates on how we have done. Every year, we're required to produce a strategic plan. And in that strategic plan, we indicate what all we're gonna complete this year. And then we have to report on that in our annual report. And we tell them whether or not we've been successful, and if we haven't, what were the barriers? What do we need to change? What are we doing to change the things that we have? And coming up this year, we've started a project called One Church, One Family, where we've decided that we want to address what's going on with some of our foster children, because most of them are not staying in our state. We're having to, not in our part of the state, in our city, our county. They're having to be sent down south Georgia and other places because we just don't have enough foster families. So we're gonna bring together our faith-based community and DFACS and others and try to address that by having our churches be leading the charge in making sure that we can find enough foster families to keep our babies here in Douglas, so that we can keep those families united as much as we can when they're in crisis and afterwards. And that's one of the things that we're doing. And that's something that one group can't do it. And we realized when we thought we could, just call DFACS and we're gonna get it done, and we got the big churches, and no, it's not. It requires everyone to come in, and we've just had a logic model training just recently where we realized, oh my gosh, we bit off a lot, but we can do it, and we will do it. And we're gonna bring our kids back here who need to be back here, and so that they can stay reunified with their families if possible, and if not, to make sure at least they're close enough that if I wanna have a day out with my daddy, I can.
Got you. So the 52,500 is strictly for salary.
Strictly salary.
You
There is
all-
no
and
other
you
line item.
Got it. And you know exactly whether you're meeting the goals or not, because you're the person who's putting the goals out there
There
and
you
actually
go.
going out to tackle. Do you work with any of the other boards, like the Community Services Board? I heard you say DFACS.
We
Are
work,
you
we work with several other groups, we have about 25 organizations represented on our board,
Mhm.
everyone from DFACS to the Department of Public Health, to the Board of Education, Communities in School, churches, the big church, Cornerstone, United Methodist Church. I mean, we pretty
get
much,
you.
resource centers that, provide food, you name it. If you're working here, hopefully we've caught you up and grabbed you in to bring you in, because we can't do it by ourselves.
Very
We're
true.
better together.
Very true. We can't work in silos and expect
No,
to get
we
much
cannot.
accomplished.
And so we work
I
on
understand.
that.
I understand. And my last question to you, and then I'll turn it back over to the chair. Why is the county needed to be the physical agent?
Well, you'd have to go way back to 1994, when we were first established. And when we pulled the people together, and the citizens in Douglas County decided that it would be better to be in the county. I believe at this point, in having been there 20 years now, it is because they wanted a non-compete situation. And no one has to compete with the county for grants and things. You all have the money, and if you want to share, you can. And then you all don't have to compete against things that normal little nonprofits or even agencies. We don't compete against that money. We help you not to compete. When Douglas County comes in, when Douglas Corps comes in to help you to get a grant, you get every dime of that grant. None of that grant is going to go to Douglas Corps. We will help you to manage it if you don't know what you're doing with it, because we don't want you going to jail. But other than that, Douglas Corps provides nothing but services to your organization. So we don't have to compete for the money. And if a lot of you all are doing the same thing, Douglas Corps brings them together and say, guys, let's go after the money together, get a bigger pot of money, and then share it among us instead of fighting for it. So we still have no stake in it other than to make sure that we improve services for children and families here in Douglas County. We
Thank you
have
so
no fight in, no dog in the fight, so we can actually be impartial and just do it for the good of the people, no other reason.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant. I yield.
Any more comments? Chairman Robinson.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning.
Morning.
It's been a while.
Yes.
Oh, gosh. Core, guys, if you've never been to their holiday breakfast, it's like, no, y'all missing a part of the county. Like, no, I've been there them years and just, okay, that's where the work is done. It ain't the CSB. It's that group. That room has everybody at the table. They built it. That's almost 30 years. Not just 20, that's 30 years that y'all been rolling as an organization. I know you've only been there 20, but the fact is, you got a one-woman show that is organizing all this. The efficiency, like, okay, it's small things. It's the connectivity. It's not competing. It's not structured and formalized. I probably get more out of this 58 than I get that 2.5 I get CSB. Now, let me keep this real. Because it's already there. And they're already working together. They're not competing. Right? You guys are givers. There's something I'm going to take a look at. I think it's important to look at what y'all really do. I mean, again, it's one person. Y'all listen like, okay, guys, really? Y'all know what they're doing over there as a group? That's actually how you do it. That's actually how the community comes together. If you're listening to what she just structured for you, like, oh, wow, look at her. We getting all this organization, all this love, all that coordination for a salary. And it works, and she's doing it. I had to give you that because I'm like, I know the journey.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. So this is something that I don't have to rehash it because the vice chair asked all the right relevant questions, but there's more to this story. That core is over in the corner. Like, gosh, y'all know what core is? Y'all who do, you do know. Those who are participating, I get it. Everybody's already at the table. They're not trying to find out new relationship. They're not trying to struggle over power and money. Don't get me started. So thank you for what you do. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna yield for right now. I'm saving my energy for later in this agenda. So keep the good work up, and I have no more questions. Mr. Chair, I yield.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Chairman.
Commissioner Alvarez.
Ms. Brown, I just want to say thank you and applaud you for everything that you're doing, serving on the DFACS board. I know that was one thing that always weighed on my heart is to see these foster family children be shipped to another county and not stay in our county, and why the families were here and are not only is it, you know, hard for the families, but also now we got to have a worker drive all the way down to South Georgia to go see that child on a periodic basis. But I just want you said you are biting off a big chunk trying to get with these faith organizations to try to get this together to get more foster families in our county. But I'm going to encourage you to be strong. You're doing. It sounds like you're doing a great job, and that's one thing that our county does need is more foster families. So thank you so much for what you're doing. I yield, Chairman.
Anyone else? I wish everybody in this county had the enthusiasm that you have, ma'am. There's no doubt that CORE is going to be just fine, and we appreciate what you do.
Thank you, sir.
Clerk.
Yes, sir. Now moving to our business items. Number 6, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Austell for the Douglas County Tax Commissioner to provide tax collection services and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Janera Walker.
Good morning. It's just an agreement between the Douglas County Tax Commissioner's Office and the City of Austell so that we can collect and disperse to the different entities those property tax bills. There's currently 86 properties. 8 are real and 6 are utilities. This is going to be the first time that we're going to be doing that, so we have to put an agreement in place. We have one with the City of Douglasville, and we actually have one with Villa Rica currently. And that's about it. Any questions?
Commissioners. Commissioner Robinson.
All right, so I know we do all the city of Douglasville, right? Do we do all the city of Villa Rica, and this is all the city of Austell, or is it only the part that's part of Douglas? How does that work? Distinguish the difference, because
It's only the parts that's within Douglas County. The parts that belong to us are the ones that we bill. So with the City of Austell, for the previous years, they've been billing on their own. This year, we've been reached out by their new finance director, Ms. Denise, and she wants to go ahead and continue doing it like how we've been doing it with the Villa Rica and with the City of Douglasville, where we go ahead and collect, disperse to the different entities, and that way they can make sure that everything is properly being done.
okay, all right. So what's the volume? You said say it again. What's the volume for it? 80.
It's 86 properties they currently have. 80 are real and 6 are utilities.
All right, and compare that to city of Villa Rica.
Oh, I can't. I don't have those numbers for you. I'm sorry,
Just
but I can
roughly.
email it to you.
No, I mean sometimes you got to give contrast to compact. Like, oh, how big is this? Is this something that you can just do it, easily, or is it?
It's actually something that's done easily. Right now, we have the chief deputy and our finance director working on all the digests right now, so I'll have a count for you on the accurate amounts for this. It depends how much properties, how it has grown throughout the year. So the same value today is not gonna be what we had last year.
Understood. And you're okay with that. I think we're just looking for raw numbers and stuff. And again, to the point, is there going to be a burden? Is there extra capacity issues that we need to consider or be sensitive
No.
to? So that who's the vendor? I mean, all those things. I just wanted to know what was the impact. Are they part of this new contract, old contract? But we can take this offline. Please send the whole board those numbers, please. The city of Douglasville versus the city of Austell versus the city of Villa Rica, just for the record, whatever
Perfect.
the historicals were.
I'll have it to you this afternoon.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Chair, yield, sir.
Any more commissioners? Vice Chair.
Hi, Janera.
Hi.
Since you're at the podium, I heard you say that the values that were last year are not the same values as this year. Is that across the board that you're seeing in all the cities?
Yes, with the growth that's coming in, especially with how the city has been expanding, like all the changes, a lot of people are moving in. So there's a lot of new housing, there's a lot of new townhouses. So it depends on how big it grows within those regions. Our number for population also grows.
Okay, the tax commissioner, though, he keeps his fees at the same level
Yes,
for collecting?
everything is still the same.
Is still
That
the
is
same?
correct.
Okay, so the contract that he wants to do with the city of Austell that he wants us to approve is the same contract
It's
that
the
he
same
has?
contract for
Okay.
the city of Douglasville and Villa Rica.
Got you. And while you're at the podium,
Mhm.
who's going to pay for the mailing out of the 15,000 assessments that have to go back out?
I do not know. That
You
would be a
don't know.
question for Steve Balfour, the Board of Assessors.
Tell him to please email us. You're off
Okay,
the
I
hook.
will.
Thank you. I
Okay.
yield.
Thank you. Any other statement? Thank you.
Thank you.
Clerk?
Yes, sir. The next item, number 7, approval to enter into a construction management contract with Buford Golf and Associates in the amount of $70,000 to be funded through fund balance and reimbursed by the 2022 SPLOST funds, plus 10% of the estimated construction cost for the electronic security monitoring project at the Douglas County Law Enforcement and Detention Center, which is estimated at an approximate cost of $3.5 to $4 million related to the 2022 SPLOST, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. And this was tabled from our last meeting. Chief Connor.
Good morning. Back before you. I know that we do have a contract in place now that we've got from the vendor. So I don't know really where we're at from here. I know that that was one concern by Commissioner Carthen of, I mean, obviously, we didn't have a contract in place. So I'm here to answer any questions or give anything that I've not really learned anything further other than, you know, that we've got the contract and they are willing to separate the initial assessment from the phase 2 of it. So.
Commissioners, do you have any? Vice Chair?
Thank you. Good morning, Deputy.
Morning.
So, you said what I wanted you to say, which was they are willing to separate the design phase of it from the construction phase of it. So would there be, this is just for the design, which is the 70,000, is that correct? And you may not be able to answer that. That may be our attorney, Attorney Coleman. So will there be, this is just a separated contract for just the 70,000? Or is this for the 10% as well?
Well,
Because he just stated that they were gonna separate them, so how is the contract written and does it reflect
the
that?
contract provided for both. And I think that if we were going to separate them, and I don't know what the plan would be for the second part, I assume it would be to rebid it based on the assessment. And I think
Would that be, Deputy Connor, would that be the correct thing? So once they give the assessment, you guys would bid out?
Okay. So initially, this RFP was written as a, it was 2 parts for them to do the assessment and then to provide the services. It was getting away from a design and build, which is what costs more money. So it was written in an attempt to save money. And as you know, that we got the 3 bids. I don't know if I can go into that they're open. So one didn't give a price at all. One give, I believe it was $725,000, and Buford Golf give the $70,000 plus 10%. Now the estimated project cost is $4 million or less. So even if you take the 10% on top of the $4 million and you add the 70 to it, you're at $470,000. So they're still well below, you know, the higher bid, and then the other one wouldn't even assess it, wouldn't even give a price because of it's encompassing a lot of things. So And the 10%, so that you understand, they are designing this. They're not gonna have another project manager that's gonna to design it. They're doing it all. They're walking in the door, they're gonna give the assessment, they're gonna follow it all the way through to the end. So, as this was bid, that was what they come back with. Now, so since that time, you know, the contract was obviously an issue. Now we have that. So at this point, I would propose that they were, you know, there was a closed bid. The bid, the committee selected them. The committee should have prepared an assessment of the decision why they chose this company and presented it. Did y'all receive that?
I won't speak for the rest of the board, but I do see attached to this, the actual scores
Okay.
of each of the criteria areas that they were scoring against, for the companies. My thing is, if it's up to 4 million or if it becomes over that, like, so here's my real issue, right? It's 70,000 for the design, right? I'm assuming that the last company that this company is replacing, who did the electrical design and everything for the jail, that was Blackwell or Blackstreet or Black Creek, right? They were also the ones who designed it and then decided, and they were the construction. So is this the same type of thing? The designer and the one who's designing it is also the one who's going to manage the construction of it? Is this the same thing?
So that preceded me. I wasn't
You weren't.
involved in any of the prior construction of the building. I believe Stan Copeland was here, and he was part of that. I don't know how that was designed. I know
Okay.
there were companies that you know, I wasn't in.
It's not far-fetched to have a company design and then you rebid, and then they also become the ones who are going to oversee it too, because they feel as though, hey, what I designed is strong enough where I can oversee my design, right?
Well, if you have them come in and give you an assessment, it's more, you're saying design, this is an assessment. This is gonna give an overall view of what is needed. And then they'll go at the second phase would be the design portion, and then they come back and give you a price. So this is merely an assessment. So if you take their assessment for 70,000, and then we decide to go with somebody else, they're gonna wanna do their own assessment. So we're going back to that kind of design and build feature where it's, you know, we're paying people to do the same job over and over again.
So for the 70,000 plus 10%, they're going to assess, design, and oversee the construction of all of this, all
Yes.
3 phases.
Yes.
Got you.
2 phases.
2 phases. Not to, and Ms. Copeland, you probably can answer this one. Then when it gets ready to go out for construction, is the county putting that out, or will it be that construction manager putting it out?
No, part of their, excuse me, thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair. Yes, they will bid everything under the RFP. Once they have designed and given an overall budget for then they will give all the scope of work through procurement and bid it out through the company. There's probably 3 or 4 integrators in the nation that can actually handle a job that size. So it will have to be designed, then go out to bid for those. Yes, ma'am. So every portion of it will be bid out, and that's what this company has to do to make sure the bid documents are correct, scope of work. When the bids come back in, they're to evaluate it, look at it, and make sure the county is getting what they were looking for.
Right, and what we're needed under the price structure that we've put in place.
Exactly.
Because it's county, we don't have a lot of
Exactly.
dollars.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, so understood. With that, I yield.
Madam Vice Chair, I wanted to finish my response with respect to your question. I do think that if it was bid as an overall project, and we just decided to award a contract just for assessment and not the rest of it, I think that would be problematic from a procurement perspective, because it wasn't bid just as one part. And if we were wanted to do a contract just for one part, I think it would have to be bid that way. Just want to clarify that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair? All right. Good morning, gentlemen. All right, I'm just gonna come back to my condition that I made last time. I'm not gonna rehash this. This project is not that big. You guys oversaw $10 million for land, $120 million for a jail having square feet. This ain't difficult. And I don't want to complicate it. My only comments were just simply the provision for 10% for program management. I just want to stay there. And we said up to. I get it. Up to 10%. We spent 2% oversight to build the entire jail. All in 150 fully loaded. This is $5 million. I'm putting in context. I get it. We'll pay a premium for $5 million. We spent 2% to oversee the entire $500,000 complex. Got it. We now have disparately 85 projects across this entire county that just are in play. They're not done, but for the most part, most of it is done. We paid 4 points for program management for 3 buildings, 4 or 5 buildings, 2 brand new buildings, about to do a third. I'm putting things in context. Pay attention. I don't go on if you're listening to oversee that. Got it. Now we're saying 10% to oversee this. Very important. I ain't got no problem with that. You know that. I'm good. It's just, it's about normalizing things across the whole county versus just certain things get slipped through. Like, well, why are we paying that much for that thing? I'm okay. So I'm trying to reconcile, should I do this? Should I support this? I do support the overall project. It's just this one issue. And I get it. It's either I have to agree or not agree. There is no, I don't have to say yes. You guys know how this works. Because it is, well, if I can't get that changed, then I have to say no, because that's a lot. But here's my reconciliation, is if I do this, that means that all program management is now 10%. So the new SPLOS that you're talking about that's associated with, that y'all are using the money to pay for this, how do we reconcile that? I'm going to get to this tomorrow, because I'm going to come back with a proposal at some point for my peers to consider, because you can't reconcile this. We do. The board has to say, guys, so it means that all program management now is 10 points? 10 points. Ooh, 10 points on $150 million jail. That's $15 million. That's going to be some interesting reporting. So one of the things I got to reconcile is the amount. I got to reconcile this contract must be subordinate to the overall program management of the SPLOS. Since you're using SPLOS dollars, I need a single view. See, I got y'all. Y'all got y'all corner. I got it. But I've got to oversee everything. And I've got to reconcile that. Duly noted, Lisa. Thank you. But I'm not quite there yet. And only consolation, my last 30 seconds, is, well, we are spending 5% on the landmark for overseeing our $28 million federal dollars. I do know that program management, again, the feds allow you to spend up to 10%. I got to reconcile this. So, guys, I'm fine. I'll come back to my peers tomorrow on how do we solve this. I do support the work, but I need staff to make sure they got the numbers right on how they're going to pay for this. I yield, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, Commissioner, just want to clarify one thing for you.
Yes.
This is not a program management. This is a construction management, design and construction management, not program. You're absolutely correct. Project management is running 3%, 4%, exactly what you said. However, this is an overall construction management and design. The construction management for the original jail was 12% for the construction managers, plus $4 million for the design. So just want to make sure you understand this is not you're absolutely correct. This is not a program, it is a construction management and design. So that's the 10%. If it were just a program management, it would be approximately 3-4%. Then they would bid out the construction management and the design phase. So that is, that's where the 10% comes in. So I think we fall Actually, on the low end, right now, construction management is running about 15 points for construction management.
As a quick rebuttal, since we're allowed 30
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, all right, but I get that. I'm trying to unpack this for everybody, right? But you're using SPOS dollars. You're using SPOS dollars to fund, no, you're not. To my peers, we're using SPOS dollars to oversee, SPOS dollars, and it has to be overseen. One single view. How are you using these SPOS dollars that we have to account for? And this is a component of it. So that means that now we're gonna pay him that. I made this point the first time. We're gonna pay you, right, to your point, that and SPOS on top of to oversee this. I made my point. Thank you. I yield. You gotta do both.
Anyone else? Mr. County Attorney, in your opinion, this bid, as it is, has been delivered to us, in your legal opinion, is it a legal bid?
We have found in our review nothing illegal about the bid or about the response. So it really comes down to the policy decisions that this board wants to make, because the legality of it does not appear to be in question either from a state procurement or local procurement perspective.
Okay. For us people who don't always understand legalese, is that a yes or a no?
It's legal. Yes,
It's
it's
what?
legal. Yes, it is legal.
It is legal? Okay, all right. Okay. Anybody else? Thank you, gentlemen. Madam Clerk.
Okay, number 8, authorization for Douglas County Sheriff's, authorization for Douglas County Sheriff's Office to renew an agreement with Doron Precision Systems, Inc. for August 1st, 2023 through July 31st, 2024 for maintenance calls, including parts, labor, and travel costs associated with the driving simulation system in the amount of $10,992 to be funded through the Sheriff's Office budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Lieutenant Colonel Pounds.
Good morning.
Morning.
So this is for the service maintenance agreement for the driving simulator that we have. That covers all the maintenance costs. Last year they replaced 12 desktops, and last year the total cost was $10,176, as the clerk just stated. Now it's $10,992. The last time we used it was back in April for 2 days, and actually they're going to use it today. They're taking it to a youth innovation to do some programs with them today. Any questions so far?
Commissioners, you have any? Anybody have any comments? Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you. So, what is this used for again? Did you say y'all only used it 2 times?
No. I said the last time we used it was 2 months ago.
2 months ago?
Yes,
Okay.
2 times on April 5th and 3 months ago, close to it. April 5th and April 7th is a driving simulator for the teen driving program. Okay? So, and we also use it for our deputies as well from time to time.
Got you. And so this just includes making sure that the parts are updated and
Correct.
all of that stuff as you all continue to use it.
Yes, ma'am.
Got you. And I noticed that you all also asked for, in your SPOS, on your SPOS list, an updated driving course. This has nothing to do with that, right? This
No.
is just the equipment that helps you
Yes.
guys. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Fair enough. Thank you. And this is for a year?
Yes,
1 year?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I yield.
Any more comments? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
Number 9, authorization for the chairman to execute a grant-funded employee contract for Brandon Casada as an accountability courts coordinator, pending final legal review. Director Jennifer King.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is a grant-funded contract. We received the grant funds last month here from Criminal Justice Coordinating Council of Georgia. And this is just one of the funding options we had, was to hire this coordinator who will coordinate our family treatment court and our chance court.
comments? Madam Chair, Vice Chair.
Just need to know the amount for the record.
It is 55,140.
15?
55,140.
Is that inclusive of benefits?
It does.
Okay. And this is a one-year grant?
It
or
is. Yes, ma'am.
Do you anticipate that it will continue?
It's possible. We go through that process every year. So we will get funding from them every year. How it is allocated, depends year to year.
Got you. All right. Thank you. I yield.
And this has been done before?
The grant has, this position is new.
Okay.
This is actually a position that's going to take some duties off of me as director, where I've been serving as coordinator, and my deputy director as coordinator of chance courts. It's going to kind of alleviate some things off of us so that we can run the office.
And to piggyback on what she was asking, this ends at the end of the year?
This one's July 1st through June 30th.
Okay, and are you expecting the county to pick up the salary afterwards, or how are we gonna fund it next year?
It's just a maybe, maybe not. We kind of assess where we are when that time comes, and any grant money that we're able to get and use, we're gonna do that first, absolutely.
Okay, all right. Any comments, questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
Item number 10, authorization for the chairman to execute an annual intergovernmental agreement renewal with the Department of Public Safety for lease of space on the Douglas County Radio System Network at a rental rate in the amount of $1 for 12 months ending June 30th, 2024, pending final legal review.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Board of Commissioners. An intergovernmental agreement was signed May 4th, 2021 between, with the Georgia Department of Public Safety, which allows the Georgia Department of Public Safety to lease space on the Douglas County radio, the radio tower equipment at one of the equipment buildings with our radio towers. The renewal rate was signed at a renewal rate of $1 per year, ending June 30th, 2029. And so this is just that annual agreement with the Georgia Department of Public Safety. Any questions?
Any comments? We need more of those $1 deals, huh?
Thank you.
Vice Chair.
Director Harley. So they're leasing space, or we're leasing space? Which one is it?
They are leasing space. So there is part of a corridor where the state troopers can't communicate. And so with that, they needed to lease some space on the radio tower so that they could house their own equipment. It is not our equipment, but they house their equipment in one of our equipment buildings.
Got you. And it's for 6 years, 2023 through 2029?
Through 2029.
Through 20, is that typical?
Yes.
Okay. And the $1, is that typical? We have to charge them?
Well, that is what the agreement was prior to my coming on board,
Okay.
because the agreement was actually signed in 2021.
It was actually signed in 2021?
Yes.
Have you done any research to see if other municipalities actually charge? And if so, what is the amount that they charge?
Most times it's about $1.
It's about, I'm surprised that we charge at all, seeing as though it's government to government, but that's interesting. Okay, thank you. I yield.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Madam Clerk.
Item number 11, authorization to charge fees for large events and gatherings requiring fire and EMS coverage, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Interim Fire Chief Allen.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, Board, Commissioners. Just to recap, throughout the year, various organizations contact the Fire Department EMS requesting our services for a licensed practitioner for certain events, special events. And currently there are no mechanisms in place for us to do it on duty. or even through our overtime budget. So right now we are pre-planning for many events that are going to be happening through this year and going forward, and through the growth of the county that's happening. We have the amphitheater going up and many other venues that are taking place. So we as the fire department would like to help service these events, these venues through a part-time means for our employees to be able to help service and support these functions. There is no cost to us because it's with the individual. So that's what I have. Any questions? Any additional questions?
Commissioners, any questions, comments?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We've talked about this, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I thought, this is not you, and good to see you, and great truck yesterday. I saw it there at the parade. It's beautiful. My question is, this is, I guess, to the administrator, either the county administrator or Madam HCA. We were supposed to get some information, and it was our expectation, okay, so what is the total cost? Now, maybe it was in the email that I hadn't, maybe looked at yet. I'm sure we covered all of them. But when we ask for information, it's not a rote exercises on this table, on this floor. We mean what we say when we need that information. It's all about the data. It's not just a yes and no, at least not from my position. My position is I take it serious. I want my data. Now, we got 1,200 people that can be commanded. It's just an instruction. See, the emails are not about the board, it's about staff. Where my data? I get everybody busy, everybody on vacation, but somebody ultimately is responsible for the provision of a certain body of work. Where's the data? This is supposed to be intelligent. It's just, we're not just up here to be bobbleheads and yes men and women. We need our data. And you've done your job, Chief, you're fine. The point is we need a comparison point. We wanted a total cost of what this meant. We talk about maturity, we say those in rote words, but I take that serious. Maturity of our administration. And embedded in that decision is data. Below money is data. Right, so I need the numbers, and so by tomorrow, I'm not gonna belabor this, because the point is this was already supposed to be done, it's 2 weeks later. Now somebody dropped the ball because the data is not there. I haven't seen it. Maybe I could be wrong. I like to be wrong. I'd love to be wrong.
We've got the data. I don't know email-wise what happened with that, so I apologize. 32,000 is the estimate, and we had to do it off of an estimate because a lot of these events we had to turn down. Battle Hill Lodge, that was one in June. United Community Event at Deer Lick Park, a birthday party request, Mount Zion Baptist Church. So we did do our due diligence. 32,000 was an annual guesstimate of what the taxpayers will not be covering anymore, and over time the actual organizations would be covering. The biggest one being the school system, which we already are working with them now. That was 6,000 a year.
That's okay. Don't defend this. I was going somewhere else, but you're good. I got that. I'm aware of some of that information. I'm looking for total cost, total impact. There was supposed to have been an analysis.
For us, there's not any cost. It's just a matter of recouping and being able to provide service. So there's not a cost to us per se. The cost now is us trying to provide that with on-duty staff, or for the really large gatherings, paying overtime.
I understand. Large gathering. But okay, please yield. County, because the question is to the county administrator, Madam A.C.A., there was some data, there was a question that was asked by the board. Have y'all provided that to us? This is to you too.
Good morning, Commissioner Robinson. So yes, that information, I believe, should have been in a PowerPoint that was in your packet. I think you provided that information to Lisa Watson, and so it should be in your link. Yes, and I talked to Interim Chief Allen on Friday to make sure that we had that information.
Yes.
As also, well, because I wanted to know what the cost would be for the sheriff's office.
Okay.
And
Total cost.
the.
I'm asking. Total cost.
Yes, so if you look at the PowerPoint, it maps out.
No, I want
and
y'all to
you
tell me
have-
right now, total cost, y'all gotta pitch me right now. Y'all got 30 seconds. Total cost,
It's gonna save us $32,000 annually.
32,000. Against what? Save us 32,000 versus, so you're able to provide what?
Right now, we just have to say no.
Right.
Is the,
And what was the volume of events?
let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I don't wanna have to convince myself on my own decision. Y'all gotta help me with
Well,
this,
there's
please.
12 organizations, and some of them have multiple events for half the year, so
So like when we look at the football games for the school, we're looking at close to
20 days, yeah.
20 days.
We do October festivals, that's 35 events per year.
Okay.
And we currently are doing those now for containment.
We do the Kiwanis Club events upwards of 1 to 2 times a year.
All right, so let me do it this way. All right, I think I got it. Well, how much overtime do you guys per person? How much overtime? There was a question made by the citizen. I want to step into that since it was brought up. So the offset is that why do we have to charge a little bit more? How much overtime are we charging our fire right now? How much overtime are they generating above salaries? Can somebody answer that? $1.8 million, $1 million per year?
Most of these honestly are told no, or they're paid like the big ones, the October events, those and the football games, which are the big ones. Those are, $8,400 and $6,000. Those events, they're already paying the individual and
Yeah.
doing a tax form with them
Yeah.
already. Most of these are saying no. We did the American Idol one, that was 400-ish
Yep.
for overtime, so it's not
Okay.
ton.
I got you. All right, I get it. It's just, yeah, and we're not even trying to belabor this. I'm going to leave it with this. I'd like to know by tomorrow, what is the total amount for the budget for the fire, since we brought this up. I want to know how much overtime is done above and beyond salaries. And so I want to know what the average salary is for for the fire, and then the average overtime. 2 things, total budget, total overtime. Average salary for fire, average overtime. 4 data points. I need that by tomorrow. That's all I want. Mr. Chair, yield. Thank you.
Anyone else? Vice Chair.
Thank you. So I believe your it's 2 parts, right? One is for the event, but then if they need QRV or ambulance, then there is another fee attached to that, or is it just included? How are you doing it?
Well, currently we weren't doing the fees for the ambulance, but we have to start looking at it because of gas and the equipment, the consumables that we may use. For the sake of argument, if we're talking a 1,000-person event, we have to use, if someone gets hurt, twist ankle, bumps, bruises, we're looking at ice packs, Band-Aids, bandages, things of that nature, those consumables. But for the larger events like the football games are required to have ambulances there. Now, understand our operation is that if someone gets hurt, the individuals that are working these events have 2 roles. Basically to stabilize the patient and then notify our dispatch, and then a transport unit would actually come. But if it's a big enough trauma or emergency event, then that ambulance that will be there would have to do that transport depending on the availability that we will have available of our ambulances, either working other emergencies or sitting at the hospital.
Got you. So 2 separate charges or 1?
We need
2.
You need
One for the consumables and gas, and then for the personnel.
Right.
Okay. But for now, you're just asking for.
And that's completely on the event holder. Nothing is being charged by us or coming from us as far as paying the individual.
I get it. Understood. Thank you for that. Just wanted to put that out there. I yield, Chair.
Commissioner Alcorette.
I think what we were trying to get back to was, when we initially talked about this, we were asking, is that figure, that dollar amount that you came up with, is that enough? Is it enough? Because now you're mentioning also that, you got the consumables you have to categorize or look at also now. So is that dollar amount, is that going to cover? I think that's what Commissioner Robertson was trying to allude to or get to was, those data numbers, let's look at those. Are we sure that that's enough for what we're gonna, for these events? As you said, each one of them are different, so you're gonna need different staff at each different event. So, such as you just mentioned, if, the football games, you I usually see one of your ambulances sitting there. So, that's what we were, I believe what my fellow commissioner was trying to get to, and that we were discussing before. Is that data in that PowerPoint to look at, to break it down to where we could say, hey, I've seen it, but is that information there where it shows, okay, let's look at what other counties are doing, what they're charging, and is that dollar figure you feel is enough? Do you
The model's a little bit different. So Puckett Metro, those ambulances also provide EMS service for large gathering events. And so their model is a little bit different. They'll bill for a service and they'll do it in-house because they're private, to where we're looking at staying out of that part of it and it being between the organization and the entity. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different.
Okay, and as we look into cover now all these other events, our citizens have made it known they've got a question and concern. Do we have the adequate equipment and staff to cover regular calls in the event that you have one at a football game?
Well, right now, no. Right now, that's why we have to say no so much, is because we don't have the staff. By doing it this way, the taxpayers won't be paying for the people that are coming off duty that are making the 15 hour to go to the football game that's being paid by the other entity. So at that point, we will, and it won't impact our actual operations because there'll be someone that's coming in off duty, which is the goal.
Okay, but all right, with the staff, what about the equipment? Do we have enough equipment to where if we was to have an injury and someone's being transported, do we have the equipment to cover a regular calls in that area?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll discuss this a little bit more tomorrow. I'm getting my peers, or Commissioner Robinson, we're going to take a look at this, that PowerPoint, discuss it. But I yield, Chairman.
Any more comments? Madam Clerk.
Item number 12, authorization to replace ESO inventory and asset management software with operative IQ inventory and asset management software to enhance EMS functionality and additional needs, to be funded through the fire department's budget with an implementation fee of $6,250 and $16,380 annually, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Chief Allen?
So currently, we have a third-party software ESO that is supposed to track our assets and inventory of our equipment, pharmaceuticals, things of that nature. And right now, it's just not working for us. And so what we are doing is we're seeking approval to change to this new software, which is Operative IQ, and it does a much better job in the sense of what we are actually in need to do these particular things for our inventory and asset tracking, and even our fleet management.
Commissioners? No comments?
Okay. Thank you, Chief Allen.
If I may, Commissioner Robinson, we do have some information about what you were asking for as far as our overtime budget. Oh, I'm sorry, Chairman.
Go ahead.
I apologize.
No.
So what we're looking at is $950,000 for our overtime budget. Our head count currently is 180 firefighters, and that is at 5,277 per employee.
Average overtime or average salary?
That's average overtime. That's average overtime.
Overtime is 52.7. Divided, and average salary is what?
The average overtime budget is.
Okay, this is all average overtime budget. Got it. Y'all got any open positions?
Oh, yes.
Sorry. Do you have any open positions?
Yes.
How many do you have?
Is it 18? Yeah.
18. So the overtime is 52. This is 52.7 per person. per person.
Huh?
So I need to compare that against the average salary to know what the I'm trying to, is it, all right, is your overtime, and again, bear with me for the record since you brought it up. Is it time and a half or double time? How does it work for you guys? If it's Saturday, Sunday, is there differentials? Is it night? How does it work?
No, this is just, and one of the things too that, you know, we're growing our staff. I think, it was mentioned last year, 80% of our staff have 4 years or less experience. So that's pretty common in the industry, honestly.
Okay.
With where the industry is. But when we look at our staff, we have some people that can drive, some people that can be on a med unit. They're still working on their dual license level. And so you have people in positions, but if someone's out, they can't drive, and you've got our overtime for a driver. So we're getting there, we're getting better. And I know our numbers, you know, we were running 7 or 8 open positions in the field. We did have a couple of people that have left. I'll go back and make sure, but
Stacy, can you please speak into the mic a little bit closer?
I'll make sure, get you some firm numbers by tomorrow. I know last year we were lower than what we're at currently. But I was trying to go on the high end just to make sure I was, you know, getting everything you needed.
No, you did good, and thank you for that response. That was great. And please, the comments, my comments were more about the data, not you guys. You guys are on it. I'm in support of you want to get out there and provide support and services to the community. I'm all of it. I'm just trying to solve a math problem, and you're getting me there. So I think by tomorrow I'll get there. But thank you for that. I yield. Thank you for responding. Sir, I yield.
If you don't mind me speaking a minute, you 52,000 in overtime per employee, is that what you said?
No, 5,200.
5,200, that's much better.
I said 5,277.
Okay.
I apologize.
I yield. Anybody else? Madam Clerk.
Okay. Item number 13, approval of change order number 3 in the amount of $195,161 on the contract with the Corbett Group LLC for Stewart Mill Road at Reynolds Road Intersection Improvement Project to be funded from the 2016 SPLOST funds as recommended by the Transportation Committee, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Director Rana.
Thank you, Lisa. Before us is a change order for our ongoing construction project, which is intersection widening of Stewart Mill Road at Reynolds Road. The goal of this project is to widen the intersection to add turn lanes, sidewalks, and appropriate drainage. Since this intersection is located at the confluence of 2 creeks, we've had a running issue of moisture content in the subgrade. This time around, we are currently working on Reynolds Road's section. Upon excavation, we discovered a lot of foreign debris, organics in the subgrade. To start off, this project had some issues on Reynolds Roads with the additional cracking on pavement, and that had been a long-standing issue. Now that we have excavated, we now know what the issue was. It was the weak subgrade because of the soil conditions that has caused that over time. Now that we're working on this project, we've decided to address that subgrade issue in total, so that once this project is complete, we don't have to look back and repair these cracks over time in the next 5 or 10 years time frame. The change order before us covers strengthening that subgrade by taking out the contaminated soil and replacing it by concrete, Class A concrete, to ensure full strength of subgrade. The second part of this change order addresses the sides of the Reynolds Roads. That's going to support the sidewalk, the curb and gutter, the drainage structures. In order to do that, we're going to excavate the contaminated soil and replace that with pure or structurally sound fill that can support the infrastructure that we're proposing for this project. The project in itself is about 70% complete, and this had been one of the longest or one of the biggest concerns of this project, which would be addressed under this change order. Given that, we've done our due diligence on the line items of each of the line items of this change order. We've negotiated and coordinated with the contractor to make sure that this is the optimal way out on the issues with the subgrade. Therefore, we recommend that the board approves this change order, and so that we can successfully proceed towards completion of this project. Thank you.
Commissioners? Madam Chair, Vice Chair, whatever you are.
Thank you. Director Rana, Okay, so this project has taken a lot of twists and turns in terms of this. So this is our second or third change order. How far out are we from completion of this? Because I probably get an email every week, and I forward them to you, and you address them, so I thank you. But how far out are we from this completion?
We're about 3 to 4 months. We're shooting for October completion. So with about 70% complete, we only have 30% left on this project.
So I'm gonna say 4 months out. So we're looking at the November timeframe.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because a lot of my complaints are regarding the traffic cones, the traffic. You know, people are really antsy about the construction and if it will cause more accidents along that area. And I keep telling people too, it's because they're trying to get it right, which I know you guys are, right? So, and construction does create havoc, right? We have to pardon the mess. So 4 months out, including this change, and will we be within budget?
Yes, ma'am. So we started this project off with about $2.7 million of lost allocation. With this change order incorporated, we'd be looking at a total amount of $2.4 million, so still within and below budget.
And do we anticipate anything else going on with this once this is, approved? Hopefully, my peers will approve it so I can get this completed. But will we anticipate any other?
Yes, Madam Vice Chair. So with construction projects, there's always that contingency involved, and change orders have almost become the norm on construction projects, especially the roadway. The majority of the issues arise in the initial stages, or especially as you approach 50% or 60% completion. So we're beyond that. So this would probably be the biggest change we see. And from here onwards, it would probably be nothing. And if something comes up, it would rather be minor.
Okay. And being minor, I know you will negotiate that we won't have to get more change orders, correct?
Yes, ma'am. We always do. And even after these change orders are executed, we continuously monitor the site and monitor those quantities. So even though if they ask for a certain cubic yard or certain quantity in the change order, we make sure that's actually done and needed. So we watch both ends of it.
Okay, good. And my last question is, again, safety. Can you please make sure someone is out there monitoring? Not that the construction staff isn't, paying close attention, but they're working, right? They're trying to get it, completed. And so they may forget about the residents who are trying to get around in that area.
Yes, ma'am, and we have been continuously reinforcing that concern, and we have an in-house inspector who goes out there, visits the site every day to make sure it's drivable and still open to public, because we're not officially closed.
Right.
The only issue is it's a narrow intersection, and that is what we started off with to widen it. We're maximizing the travelway as much as we can, but also protecting the riders from the exposed hazards that construction may brings. But as far as drivable conditions, I myself have drove by that intersection. I try to do that every week, and we made sure that at least the bare minimums are provided for turning movement and through movements.
Thank you. I yield, Chairman.
Anyone else? Madam Clerk.
Okay. Item number 14, authorization to execute a mowing and maintenance agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation in connection with the Highway 5 and Douglas Boulevard intersection turn lane project with no impact to the budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Director Rana.
Thank you. So this is, again, it's not an intersection improvement project, but we're adding a turn lane to an intersection of Highway 5 at Douglas Boulevard. This project is currently in right-of-way acquisition phase. Since this is a state route, GDOT owned roadway, for us to encroach and add that turn lane, it's going to come with a 2 feet of beauty strip. That is basically the buffer between the edge of the curb to the sidewalk. Since this is GDOT owned roadway, they require us to sign a mowing and maintenance agreement, letting them know that we'll be responsible for that 2 feet of beauty strip that we'll be adding. This does not impact our budget, but it's needed to move this project forward. Thank you.
Any comments? Madam Clerk.
Okay, number 15, authorization to accept 697.7 square feet of right-of-way dedication on Van Sant Road from Starlight Homes, Georgia LLC, with no impact to the budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Director Rana.
Thank you. This is a development project that has gone through our DRC process. Upon the review, it was concluded that it's deficient on the right-of-way as it is. Given the development, it's about 14 acres of development with a proposed 122 housing units. With that, the right turn added and the roadway improvements that they're doing, an additional right-of-way was to be donated to the county, and that's why we're requesting the board to approve this. Thank you.
Comments, questions? Madam Clerk.
Number 16 is appointment of Noah Jeffcoat and Andriana Williams to the Cemetery Commission, effective immediately. Ms. Allison Duncan, do you want to talk about that?
All right, good morning again. As you are aware, the Cemetery Commission is a 10-member board. We've been going through a bit of a rebuilding process. So we had 2 members of the Cemetery Commission when it got transferred over to the Planning and Zoning Department to manage. We have since had 3 additional appointments. And I believe you have the applications for 2 more citizens who are interested in joining the commission, so that will bring us up to 7. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about this commission or the individuals who have applied.
Comments? Must be gravely important. Sorry. Been here a long time. Here all night.
Okay, thank you, Allison. Number 17 is appointment of Evelyn Fitzgerald to the Animal Control Advisory Board, effective immediately. And that would be me. We had an opening in District 2, and we have advertised several times for that, and we finally got an applicant in to fill that position.
Yeah. Comments? Madam Clerk.
Okay, that concludes the agenda items.
Are there any other commissioner comments? Do we need a motion to go into executive session?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to have a very brief executive session to discuss pending litigation.
Okay, we have a motion.
Chairman, I make a motion to go into executive session.
A second?
Second.
All in favor? Raise your right hand. All opposed? Motion carries.
Chairman, can you also adjourn the meeting? After we go into executive session, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Oh, I don't adjourn it now?
Yeah, we do adjourn now.
Meeting is adjourned.